Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 72nd episode of In the Trenches, Kroll's weekly cyber threat intelligence briefing. Today is the 14th of October, and my name is George Glass, an Associate Managing Director in the Cyber Threat Intelligence team. Joining me today from the CTI team are Dave Truman, Sam Flint, and Sarah Becker. As always, we'll be covering the most recent trends that our threat intelligence team is witnessing in the trenches. So, without further ado, let's get into the situational awareness report. Criminal service providers are exiting Telegram. Kroll has observed a number of hacktivist groups and ransomware providers announcing their migration from Telegram. RipperSec, CyberVolk, and Bloody Ransomware are just a few of the groups who have announced their exit. This come after Telegram's CEO, Pavel Durov, posted updates about Telegram's privacy policy and cooperation with law enforcement on his personal Telegram channel. The groups leaving Telegram are re-establishing their channels either on Twitter, Discord, Signal, or other platforms. That's a pretty big disruption to the cybercriminal underground. Many groups use Telegram, so we're going to keep a very close eye on that trend and see where they will tend to congregate after that. Next up, Qualcomm 0 days exploited. Researchers from Google and Amnesty International have reported that a vulnerability in Qualcomm chipsets tagged as CVE 2024-43047 may be under limited targeted exploitation. While details are sparse, it can be noted that the groups that reported this activity are known for investigating commercial spyware-linked cyber attacks. Qualcomm chipsets are used in most, if not all, modern mobile devices. Users are encouraged to update their devices once an update is available. More vulnerabilities. Ivanti vulnerabilities are under active exploitation. Ivanti has reported that 3 cloud service appliance vulnerabilities are under active exploitation. Those are CVE 2024-9379, 9380, and 9381. These 3 vulnerabilities allow for SQL injection, remote code execution, and path reversal. However, they require admin access. This can be bypassed by exploiting a critical vulnerability, CVE 2024-8963, a path traversal vulnerability, which allows unauthenticated attackers to access restricted functions. Ensure that you patch to version 5.0.2 immediately. Next up is a update on the CUPS. MalwareTech, famous researcher, has released a Python-based vulnerability scanner for CVE 2024-47176. The scanner scans a network for responses to UDP packets sent over port 631, and by using a scanner, organizations can identify if they have any assets affected by CVE 2024-47176. Of course, that could also be used by threat actors, but again, it's very important to scan your environment and get those updates in place. Finally, a pretty significant attack. American Water shuts down services after a cyber attack. The largest water utility has shut down some of its systems, following a cyber attack on Thursday. The company is working with third-party cybersecurity experts and law enforcement, they stated. The attack led to the suspension of My Water customer portal and billing services. Although water operations remain unaffected, the incident follows a recent advisory from Water ISAC about Russian-linked cyber threats targeting the water sector amid growing concerns over such attacks on critical infrastructure. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, please get in touch with us using cti@kroll.com. That's cti@kroll.com. So now let's get into the rest of today's briefing. I'm covering the October Patch Tuesday, and there's no prizes for guessing what vulnerabilities are fixed in there again this month. Dave is going to be talking about some MFA phishing campaigns and toolkits. Sam will be taking this week's malware spotlight on SSLOAD. And of course, we will finish with a ransomware roundup from Sarah. So let's get into the Patch Tuesday. October Patch Tuesday, 166 vulnerabilities addressed, 2 of them reportedly exploited in the wild, with 2 additional being critical, 28 privilege escalations, and 43 remote code execution vulnerabilities. There's 2 that I want to draw attention to today, and that is the 2 0-day vulnerabilities. CVE 2024-43573 with a CVSS score of 6.5. And here it is again. MSHTML is back again this month. This vulnerability can allow an unauthenticated attacker by tricking a target into opening a malicious file to execute code. If you cast your mind back to September, we reported that CVE 2024-43461 was being exploited by a threat actor known commonly as Void Banshee. It's not yet known if this is more sort of proliferation of the same sort of theme, but we know how vulnerable MSHTML is. It's still very much baked into the Microsoft ecosystem. And I think probably when it comes around to November, I think we'll probably be seeing a few more of those as well. Next up is CVE 2024-43572, the CVSS score of 7.8. And this is a vulnerability in the management console, allowing remote code execution. An attacker could exploit this flaw by convincing the target to opening a specially crafted Microsoft saved console file. That's an MSC file. And that allows arbitrary code execution on the machine. There's not a lot of information shared by Microsoft right now, but we do note that there was another management console RCE addressed in the September patch cycle as well. And we do often see MSC files being abused in different ways. So we've got some pretty strong detection around those. As soon as there's any more information, of course, we'll be looking into that and share that with you as soon as we have it. And that's it from me today. Dave, over to you, sir, to talk about some new phishing campaigns that you've been looking into. Over to you.
Thank you. There's been recent concern with regards to phishing kits that bypass multi-factor authentication. Microsoft detailed an emerging phishing as a service offering called Mamba 2FA, which they say has been targeting Microsoft 365 accounts. The tool uses relay servers to act as the adversary in the middle. This enables them to create login sessions on the fly whilst the user is interacting with the front end of the phishing site. This means that the back end can trigger a multi-factor prompt to the user when the relay server receives one from Microsoft. Mamba 2FA uses Telegram for both sales and as customer interaction in the form of a Telegram bot. The bot allows for payload and link creation alongside obtaining any details captured. The tool costs $250 per month. Further to Microsoft's findings, Kroll CTI investigated a different phishing campaign that started with an SMS message. The text message appears to be targeting victims based on the UK government's controversial removal of winter fuel payments to pensioners. The SMS contained a fictitious deadline date of the day of the text message. Should victims click the link, a redirect change takes place where the front-end server of the phishing site attempts to filter legitimate victims from automated tooling and security researchers. If the check fails, the victim will be redirected to a legitimate government page detailing cost of living payments. This is the official government page that one is directed to if the phishing site decides one is not a legitimate victim. From Kroll's testing, it appears that this decision is based upon a combination of IP address and user agent. It is worth noting the look of this page for comparison with later phishing pages. This slide shows the landing page for a victim who is deemed legitimate. Anyone who has filled out a UK tax return will recognise this theme, as that closely mimics the theme used across most government websites. Alongside the branding, the fact that the phishing page is a landing page is also mimicking the behaviour of UK government websites. Note the mistake in the page title, located in the Browser tab, where it refers to parking fines, indicating that this is likely code that is reused across multiple government-themed campaigns. Next, the page collects victims' personal data. The page first validates the email address and telephone numbers. After the collection page, the site takes a victim to a payments page, tricking the victim into entering credit card information for a £1 test payment. This mimics a common behaviour of websites that use subscriptions but have a free trial period, so victims would be accustomed to this. Interestingly, the page appears to use the LUN algorithm to make sure the credit card number is legitimate and not just 16 digits. Finally, as an indication that the phishing page is trying to relay the requests and charge the victim's credit card in real time. If multi-factor authentication has been asked for by the credit card provider, such as a one-time passcode, the phishing page throws up a corresponding multi-factor prompt, which can be seen here, to obtain that from the victim. This is a well-designed and convincing phishing page. As the mistake in the page title indicates, this kit is likely used across multiple campaigns using government laws. Campaigns could easily be tax-themed or with regulation lures. It is worth noting that since this campaign starts with a text message, many of the usual indicators taught in corporate phishing training will not be present. As always, it is important to educate users of the latest phishing techniques alongside perimeter protections such as email scanning and reputation-based outbound proxy servers. Thank you. George?
Thank you, Dave. That was outstanding. Thank you very much. Next to Sam to talk about this week's malware spotlight on SSLOAD. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, George. Over the past week, I've been delving into SSLOAD. It's a Rust-based malware loader with system discovery, emulation and debugging detection, and HTTP/HTTPS encrypted C2 communication capabilities. Activity has been tracked back to at least January 2024. Most recently, this month, it's been seen used as an encrypted next stage loader by Phantom Loader malware. Initial access is most commonly via a phishing email, either containing a link to a fake Azure download page, which redirects to download a JavaScript file, or via a decoy Microsoft Office document containing a malicious macro. If downloaded via the fake Azure page, the JavaScript file downloads and runs a malicious MSI installer, which extracts and executes the SSLOAD payload. When delivered by Office document, the embedded macro loads a JavaScript encoded XML string, which places the next stage loader in the user's temp directory and starts it. To evade detection, the first loader frequently disguises itself as a legitimate antivirus module with an encrypted code stub hidden within the file. The decrypted stub is used to resolve function addresses by hash, which allow it to load SSLOAD directly into memory. SSLOAD also uses an anti-emulation technique first observed being used by Raspberry Robin, attempting to retrieve the address of a function exported by kernel 32. SSLOAD implements two persistence mechanisms. First, it adds a scheduled task which runs the SSLOAD DLL every 10 minutes. It also modifies the startup folder by writing to the startup value under the user shell folders key to point to the directory containing the SSLOAD executable. After completing checks and decrypting the C2 URLs and IP addresses, SSLOAD fingerprints the host, storing various user and system-specific information in a JSON object, which is sent over plain text via an HTTP post request to the C2 server. Once a connection is established, it enters a beaconing loop, waiting to receive further instructions. These are sent in a JSON structure containing a job and a unique identifier. The job contains two fields, a command and an array of arguments. The exe command has been seen in communications downloading an additional payload, but the job structure implies that SSLOAD can also be expanded to support running remote shell commands. Key recommendations for defenders are to identify instances of JavaScript executing an MSI installer and to ensure that new entries in the user shell folders are identified. As always, we also recommend that users remain alert and receive training to identify the latest phishing tactics and techniques and to report phishing attempts if they receive them. There's loads more detail on SSLOAD in my report, so please check that out if you'd like more info. Back to you, George.
Thank you very much indeed, Sam. And last but by no means least, we go to Sarah for this week's Ransomware Roundup. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, George. So we do have a new group that was identified called Sarcoma Ransomware, or according to their data leak site, Sarcoma Group. They emerged this month, actually, with their large victim posting on their data leak site. So accessing the data leak site, the group initially started it with 30 victim organizations. According to the group, their mission is to show the world how important it is to keep data safe due to companies storing sensitive information in their servers and needing to take responsibility for storing it in security. The group also claims that in their About Us section that if the victim organization is published on their data leak site, then it means that the company's security is low. Once they concluded in their About Us section, they state that they invite access brokers, interested parties, aggrieved employees, of the companies to just cooperate. They're claiming that together everyone can be stronger and richer and know how to make the ransomware group's cooperation profitable and safe. So we are monitoring this new group just to see if anything else is going to come about from them. That's all from me, George.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And thank you also to Dave and Sam, who also presented today. That's all we have for this week. If you have any questions or comments, please do reach out to us using cti@crawl.com. That's cti@crawl.com. Have a wonderful day.